Let me start off today's video by saying McFarlane has clearly done way too many autographs, okay? He sniffed way too many Sharpie fumes in his days, in his prime, because that's what he's about. He's about conventions, selling autographed action figures. And if you've ever wondered if he's full of himself, the dude literally made an action figure based on himself. Yes, it does reuse a lot of parts from like the DC Multiverse line and the Spawn line, but still, an action figure of yourself? Let's be brutally honest, the dude gets turned on just from posing his action figure. And look, let's be brutally honest, there's nothing wrong with being a little bit full of yourself, a little bit confident, because in today's world, there are a lot of, sections of the industry where you have to be overly confident to get your point across and specifically to get your product to sell. The guy is an absolute mastermind. He sells action figures, he sells statues, he's acquired a bunch of licenses. He's an absolute master when it comes to comic book art. And, Spawn is his baby. He's built it from the ground up. It's not one of the biggest franchises. And, from what we hear, the movie is right around the corner. And I should clarify, I have touched on this particular topic in the past. I think maybe like a year ago, I kind of mentioned it in passing, but I just wanted to emphasize that particular point and kind of expand a little bit on it. And I should clarify, I hate making these like rant videos where it seems like I'm being extremely negative or I'm attacking a particular OM or, a big titan in the industry. But these are just minor little issues that I have, and I wanted to bring them to everybody's attention. Maybe I'm just making something out of nothing, but maybe I have a valid point. I'd like to hear from you guys. Let me know down below in the comment section. As you guys always know, we upload random action figure content, news, and just reviews, just random stuff that comes to my mind that's action figure based. I absolutely love bringing it to you guys. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, make sure to stay tuned because we are uploading like 3 to 4 times on a weekly basis. This actually might have been the lowest upload rate like in the last couple of years, but I definitely want to keep that more consistent. So what are we talking about today? It's pretty straightforward. I actually wanted to call McFarlane out a little bit here. And look, I get it. He's the face of the entire franchise, his company, and it's only fair that he gets to do whatever it is that he wants. He's been massively successful. We've already covered all of that. But let's be brutally honest. When we get our news, a lot of the time it's not directly from McFarlane. And I think that's a huge problem. And I'm going to use Hasbro as an example. They're the template, I think, for what you should be doing with your reveals. You have these big giant moments. You have these big giant live streams. Usually you have a stream that is specific towards one line or towards one franchise. Maybe they'll have like a Marvel Legends stream and they'll reveal maybe like 4 to 5 different figures. They'll talk a little bit about the figures, the background, the engineer work. They'll talk a little bit about what's coming in the foreseeable future, the packaging. Maybe they'll talk about figures that they have already released that are from the same wave. Or that same little era. In certain cases, they'll even interact with their fan base or the public. That's kind of what I think McFarlane is really missing here. Okay, there are going to be figures that just sell out automatically when it's a really marquee Batman or a Superman. Especially if it's a new Batman with like wired cape and maybe some new accessories, a new body mold, maybe a dark side, a Bane. Those are going to sell out. We know they're big heavy hitters, especially if it's like a new Superman. Same thing if he has a wired cape with the new head sculpt. People are going to gravitate towards that. And that's going to sell out. But there are a lot of other little lines. I know he's working on like those big giant bulky DC figures. I guess they're like pre-posed figures. They're supposed to be like really big and bulky. And I'm assuming as of the moment, they're all going to be based on DC characters. I'm sure he'll start doing Spawn characters in the foreseeable future. But this is one of those lines that just kind of like really went under the radar. And why? Well, first of all, it got lost in the shuffle because it was announced at one of the most recent conventions. And while that happens from time to time, you'll have like an OM that releases way too many things all at once, and there may be some lines or some figures or some waves that get lost in the shuffle. It's just what happens. But I feel like McFarlane could really capitalize on having a format like Hasbro. Actually have a live stream, interact with your community, interact with your fan base, ask them what they want to see in the foreseeable future, and then reveal the figures. Have like this big moment, build it up, post about it on social media, have the community, maybe even content creators kind of push these little events that McFarlane could put together. Maybe he could start it off by teasing some things for the future, or even the figure that he's going to reveal. Maybe like tease it, build it up, get people's anticipation up, get people talking about it on social media. I think that's very important for McFarlane, and I feel like he's missing out on all of that because Hasbro, like I said, is kind of the template for that at the moment. It seems like every time that there's a reveal, it's huge. Everybody's talking about it. It's not flying under the radar. Sometimes McFarlane will not even announce something. It'll be like a random wave that just goes up on for pre-order, and then it sells out within the next couple of minutes. And then McFarlane decides to reveal like this tiny little, like grainy, ugly ass video that, by the way, is recorded in a vertical position. Who does that anymore? I mean, it just makes absolutely no sense. He's standing in front of it, just waving a figure, and it's like a 2-minute clip, and then it just, it goes into the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, and then a few thousand people watch it within the first couple of hours. But at that time, the figure's already sold out. Nobody even knew about it. It was just like a random drop. And I feel like that's something that McFarlane could really capitalize on. Maybe get like a small little team of representatives, people that are well-spoken, people that can stand in front of a camera and really make like an entire event, an entire little show, to really be able to showcase all of the collectibles that are going to be released or announced. At the moment, there's just no organization. I wish, even if he decided to continue making the announcements and showcasing the figures, I wish he would do it in a more elaborate method. Sometimes it feels like it'll just be a tiny little 50-second clip of a figure rotating on like one of those cheap rotating bases, or it'll just be him with this big giant wrapper chain blinding half of the YouTube community while smashing a packaging open trying to get the figure out of it. Again, if that's your cup of tea, great, but I feel like he's just really missing the point there. He's really not driving home or emphasizing what the community needs to buy, why they need to get excited about it, what's the background to this particular character, why should we be excited to get, I'll give you guys an example, why should we be excited to get another 2-pack of Batman versus Bane? Well, maybe the Bane was sold out everywhere, and Batman has some battle damage. Same thing with like the new Dark Knight Returns Batman. Why should we buy it if it's essentially the same figure? Well, you're getting an unmasked head sculpt. Here's the backstory of the Dark Knight Returns. Look at the previous wave that we already released. Look at the Build-A-Figure horse. Like, those are things that I think he should like drive home and really cement. And in some cases, it'll actually help him sell figures that probably are sitting on store shelves, that are peg warmers, or that are sitting in his warehouse, because he obviously has a store and he sells action figures directly. But that would really help for him to be able to kind of elaborate a little bit more, expand on the figure, the lore, why you should be excited. I mean, there are already those diehard, McFarlane fans, or those diehard fans of the source material. You don't really have to sell them. They're already there to purchase. They're already there lined up, ready to submit their pre-order. But it's about reaching even more people. And I feel like that's something that he's gravely missing. And it's also a great opportunity for him to be able to center all or just encapsulate all of the feedback, right? Instead of him having to hire people to go through like a bunch of social media posts, and him having to go through like random videos of the community or action figure reviewers or just content creators in general to hear what the people want, he can just go through the comment section. Granted, there's going to be a bunch of random comments of just saying garbage, gay, stupid, McFarlane should just jump out of a window. Granted, those people are absolutely ridiculous and don't deserve to be on the internet, but I'm saying like there's going to be people that actually give good solid feedback. They're like, you know what, maybe you could do this, maybe you could do that. And some of these might be viable options that maybe don't even cost McFarlane that much money. So I think this is a great opportunity for him to really like study and analyze things of that nature. Maybe if he starts doing these events, and maybe there's an event that had way more views than than the other, then he can kind of continue to do research on why this particular wave or why these characters had more views than the others, and then that can be a trend to follow for the future. He can kind of learn about, you know, his franchise and the stuff that he's selling. And at the moment, I just feel like it's in the wind. It's just kind of like, okay, here is a release. Sometimes the pre-orders go up before the video goes up, and sometimes the video goes up before the pre-orders, or, you know, it's just like this big giant convoluted mess. And I feel like he could center it and focus all of that energy and all of that content into, you know, really pushing his product out to as many people as he possibly can. So I just feel like for the most part, it's a little bit harder to get excited about McFarlane action figures, or a little bit more difficult than it is for like Hasbro, because I'll watch one of their live streams and, you know, they got like promotional images and there's, you know, random people talking about like this character's background and who this character is, and they'll have it posed and they'll play around with it and things of that nature. And look, McFarlane is great and all, but he's completely out of touch. I mean, I don't think he's going in there posing action figures and, you know, really talking about what the action figures are about. And I think that's something that people really want. The community genuinely would appreciate something like that. So like I said, get a small little team of people, like 2 or 3 people that know the source material, that know about action figures, maybe somebody in the engineer side of things that can really talk about the figure and really dissect it a little bit more, and get people interested into some of his releases, because I feel like he's falling behind in that regard. It's something simple, but I feel like it could make a huge difference in the long run, especially considering you're always going to be compared to a lot of these other OEMs, and it's important for him to, you know, continue to strive to compete against them. And this is a perfect opportunity for him. You know, there are going to be a lot of figures that sell out immediately, but there are others that are not going to, and it's important for him to kind of showcase the figure, give it like a spotlight, give it some promotional images, make the figure look sexy, put it in a diorama display, just get crazy with it. Maybe show some comic book art, things of that nature. Just get people, you know, rabid, get people excited about your releases. And at the moment, I feel like sometimes you get that, sometimes you don't. And I think that's a little bit of McFarlane's fault, but that's just my personal opinion. That's my personal take. I don't want to put words in people's mouth. If you disagree with me, let me know down below in the comment section. Am I an absolute fool for thinking like this, or did you find some value to today's video? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As I said, if you guys enjoy this type of rambling content, make sure to stay tuned. We do this pretty consistently. You don't even have to subscribe. Just, you know, keep up to date, because I do plan on, you know, starting to upload more consistently down the line. So if you guys enjoy this type of content, you guys can always look back at our previous videos. We talk a lot about like custom figures. We talk a lot about some really cool third parties, you know, action figures like AliExpress and eBay and things of that nature. And we also talk about some new reveals and some reviews here and there. But let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. And as always, make sure to enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all of this. If you're not enjoying it, you're not doing it right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next one.